Hey everybody, and welcome to the GameSpace Game Show. I am your host, Steven. Actually, no, Dame is gonna be your host. You've been promoted to host. You did it.
I did it! Wow!
Congratulations!
Everyone clap for Dame. So
What did I win?
you won the title of host. Also, for those of you looking at us right now and you're saying, why you guys look so weird compared to last week? We're trying out Discord this time to see if maybe Discord will be a better option. So far, I'm not feeling it. But what do you guys think?
I think maybe we made it into 2018.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think Skype was our best option. But anyway, Dame, introduce everybody. Introduce everyone.
Well, hey, my name is Dame. You can follow me on Twitter at Pastor Dame. With me are my good friends Steven. Steven, how are you doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here as well. Where can people find you?
They can't find me. I'm a mystery.
You're a mystery wrapped in an enigma. All right, we're going to go ahead and pass it on to...
We're passing.
We're going to go ahead and pass it on to our other co-host here, Bowman. How are you doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Not too shabby. You are kind of one of the newer writers here with MMO and GameSpace, but you've been on the GameSpace game show for a while. Tell people where they can find you.
Several places. I'm still trying to fix Twitch, but right now it's Shinzon and Remus 1 there. Twitter is thewolf_1, and YouTube is the Wolf One's Den.
All right. Well, sounds like you're a little bit all over the place, still trying to figure out who you are.
Well, I'm trying to get everything switched to the Wolf One's Den, but not a lot of things like to switch within 60 days of the last switch. So
if you say switch too many times, Nintendo comes after you. So just stop saying
and then
switch.
And then Mario's going to pop in and
when
go,
you change too many times.
There we go. Well, hey, we've got a kind of interesting topic here tonight. We are going to be talking a little bit about the demise of brick and mortar stores when it comes to game shops here. And notice that I did not say a particular name here, though we're going to talk about a particular store that comes very close to that name. We recently saw news that on March 25th, that GameStop said that they're going to be closing 150 stores.
That's years before. I apologize for that. I put the agenda together and I forgot to tell you what year that was.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
It wasn't this year that they said that they were closing 150 stores.
Okay, so March 25th of some year. Going to be.
Yeah, I believe, and that's on me. I believe it was 2016 was that year. 2016 they closed 150 stores. Keep talking about it. I'm gonna fact check myself, but
yeah. Why don't you do that? Why don't you go ahead and do... So GameStop has kind of been like a pretty significant place purveyor of games. They recently kind of went a little bit over into like the collectibles space as well. When you guys think about like the places that you've typically or historically gone to purchase games, where have been kind of the big places for you to buy your content?
So for me, I usually go to GameStop, Walmart. So
okay,
about it.
Really,
Steven? What?
You go to GameStop to do stuff? Not
in a year, but that's where I used to go all the time.
So
now it's all digital.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of the point. So the 150 stores thing was 2017, so it wasn't that long ago, guys.
Okay, so slightly less than a year ago.
Yeah, well,
they said that they were going to be closing 150 stores.
I'd say it's closer to maybe like 8 months ago. So I mean it's still pretty fresh. Well, okay, no, it was about a year ago. I'm sorry. Listen,
With the 10
whenever it came, usually I'm very good with the fact checking. That's usually my thing. And you know, if you ask me something, I'm like, hey, I know it. And the worst thing about it is that it even says it right there in the link that I provided in the agenda. It says straight up 2017, March of 2017, and I just completely spaced on it. So
well, I
failed.
do have to go ahead and just say, Stephen, that the GameSpace game show pretty much happens because you're the one who's behind the scenes. You know, going, hey guys, this is what we're going to talk about, and here's our agenda, and read these articles and stuff like that. And most of us just kind of show up and we're like, yeah, we're here, time to start the show. So really, I mean, this is kind of a little bit on me for not doing a little bit of my due diligence of, you know, doing back. I didn't even know I was hosting tonight.
I didn't even know you were hosting. It just magically happened. Like it started, and then it was like
we took a poll beforehand. Yeah.
I wasn't a part of this poll, but anyway,
it's my secret ballot.
So Bowman, you've been, you know, historically you've shopped at GameStop and Walmart to get physical copies of things. Steven, what about you? Are you a physical copy guy or a digital guy?
I haven't done physical copies in a long time. The last time I went to GameStop, I went for a system. Okay. And you know, I got to say that I wasn't enamored with the level of service that I was getting at GameStop. It's kind of I don't know. Like GameStop has traditionally. We got people going back and forth in Bowman's screen. We've traditionally, you know, GameStops that I know of have been in malls and stuff like that. But lately, you know, sometimes you see them crop up in other places. But the one that I went to, it was almost like a back alley GameStop. I mean, it was like in a small shopping center, but the GameStop was like this big. All the other stores were like, you know, pretty big, but it was just like a tiny sliver of a GameStop store next to it wasn't like a smoke shop. It was like a cigar selling shop. So they sold cigars and they had humidors and all those kind of things. So people were like smoking it. Just going into that GameStop alone made me feel like I was in like some back alley, like doing something terrible. You walk in the store and everything just smells. It just reeks of smoke. And I just
you got some guy standing in the corner with a trench coat and he's like, hey kid, I'm going to offer you 2 pre-owned games for $25. You can't beat these deals.
That's what it felt like, because when you go in there, they really like heavily push the pre-owned games. I mean, like, that's their thing. It's like, I got these 2 games. You know, you just like go in there for, you know, like Grand Theft Auto or something like that. And they're like, I got 2 Grand Theft Autos for the same price. You know, it's like
fake GameStop where they pull the games out of the dumpster. Like I hear they do.
they pull games out of where are these game dumpsters? I've never heard of a game dumpster before.
I've heard and seen stories on Facebook where people who worked at GameStop would literally go into the dumpster in the back and they would find, or maybe not people who worked at GameStop, but other people would go to the dumpsters behind the building. They'll find controllers and stuff, like perfectly good controllers that they cut the cords on so people can't use them, and then they will rewire them and just go at it.
So basically, they're taking the Guitar Center school of thought with Gibson guitars this last year. That was actually a huge thing in the music gear industry. Like, people were going dumpster diving behind Guitar Centers and finding these guitars that were kind of slightly broken but could have a little
fixable,
bit of refurbishment.
Maybe.
Yeah, they were fixable. But anyway, so GameStop is not really the only store that is in trouble here.
Ooh.
The toy cartel itself, Toys R Us, has also announced that they are going to be closing all U.S. locations and possibly their worldwide locations. This is a pretty big deal here. I mean, Toys R Us has kind of been an institute. I've got my own personal feelings on this. What do you guys think of Toys R Us kind of going under?
I think so many things about it, so many things. But I want to hear about Bowman, because I know that loves toys very much, and that
I do.
Yeah,
I've got tons of them.
Yeah. So
every time I've gone into Toys R Us, I've had a great time. I'll sit there for an hour just looking around with my son. My son's 7, so he goes in there. He has a blast looking around. I have a blast looking around with him, and just like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
Now I got to go to Walmart. Jeez.
Well, and that's a big part of it. Is I mean, like how can Toys R Us really compete with Amazon and Walmart and these other just like they're cheaper. They might not have the same kind of selection, but I mean, do you really need selection? I mean, most of the time, parents are just like, "Hey, I'm here picking up, 58 rolls of toilet paper. Let's pick up some toys for my kids too."
I never saw toilet paper at Toys R Us. I was wondering where you were going with that. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm talking about Walmart.
That's what I was talking about. That's like, that's a little bit too much toilet paper. Making a toilet
you
paper.
can never have too much, man.
It was Halloween and somebody was TPing a house. I know it.
So yeah, this is a really interesting one for me because I actually worked at Toys R Us for a couple of months, several years back,
ruining Christmases.
I was ruining Christmases. I talked about that in another episode. But I worked in what they called the R Zone, which was their video game and electronics department, and one of the things that I saw even back then was, I mean, this was actually right after they had been bought out by another company. They were already in trouble, and actually Toys R Us had a history of financial trouble. If you go back and you look at their history, actually there's some really shady there's some really shady dealings in their history.
So shady.
They actually used to be a children's furniture company. And I'm trying to remember where I found this information. So I don't want to say anything that could be slanderous or whatever. But let's just say that there were some family dealings in the midst there that Jeffrey may have gone after a couple of kneecaps, but.
They had to protect the family.
Can neither confirm nor deny that officially. But anyway, whatever the case is. So one of the things that I noticed when I was working there was that there was a big push for what they called a buyer protection plan, which was basically like their warranty that they would offer on, just about everything that had moving parts. And like, it was a big deal. Like it was like the store is going to close if we don't make quota with buyer protection plans. I will say this, like the dude that was the manager of that store was fantastic. He was probably one of the best store managers of any store that I ever worked or any business that I'd worked in up until that point. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to me. Like when I look at stores like GameStop and like Toys R Us, what I see is that they had a very particular niche for a period of time, and it was almost like somebody in their leadership said, "Hey, we've got this great thing going, and we're going to just keep doing that." And everybody's just going to love us because we're Toys R Us or we're GameStop. Like, it's where you go to get games. It's where you go to get toys. There's no other place on earth where you can go experience, right?
Basically.
Right? And they really didn't follow one of the basic principles of good business, and that is that a business cannot do the same things that got them to the places that got them to where they are today. In order for a business to grow, and especially in a climate that's changing, you have to innovate. You have to continually find your place in the market. And I don't think that either Toys R Us or GameStop really did that. With the advent of digital content, and also with like the big box stores, whether it's Walmart or Amazon or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know that I would necessarily say that the online or digital purchases was the last nail in the coffin, but it certainly helped push them along to like the Usain Bolt of dying.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of Toys R Us specifically, no. In terms of GameStop, I would say differently. I think that GameStop is certainly being pushed out by the digital sales. Maybe I missed it. Did you already go through the percentage of sales
No, I
over the
haven't. I
years?
have not gone through that yet. So we can take a look at we can go ahead and look at that here. So this is a statistic from 2010, and I'd be very curious to see what the how this has increased in the last 8 years. But digital sales made up to 31% of all the game sales, and retail sales made up to about 69%.
Yep.
And then 2 years ago, in 2016, 74% of games were sold digitally, leaving 26% to be sold in retail. What I'd be very curious about, I'd be very, very curious about that. Like what percentage of that 74% is Steam sales?
Yeah.
Like, are those things lumped in? So do you have like all indie titles that are like solely released on like a platform like Steam? Are they lumped into that
or
number?
even consoles? Because console, I mean, all they have to do is put up a sale. Like as soon as some of these newer games are out in stores for $60, you see a 10% off sale on Xbox or PlayStation. Like, hey, you can't beat it.
Yeah, and that's something that really cuts into, I mean, again, cuts into the margin for the local stores. You know, whether it's a GameStop, whether it's a Walmart, or even like your mom and pop video game shops. Like I actually live in a city that has a couple of like independently run game stores, and I love those guys because you can find some really niche items there, but they have a different niche than selling the latest stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're a little bit more in the classic market here, but here's one of the big questions. Do you guys think that companies will go through the hassle to start providing digital content? Like, do you think that I know that Amazon offers this. I can't say I don't know whether GameStop or any other online purveyor does this as well. But
in some cases they do digital sales. They do them. But the problem is okay, so here's one thing that happens sometimes to me, or something that's happened in the past, is I would be on PlayStation and I would be wanting to make a purchase. Say I wanted to add a new credit card, and I did to make a purchase. What PlayStation does is they don't allow you to just like add a card and then use it immediately for some reason. They always put like a hold on it. And I'm like, well, that's stupid because I want to purchase something right now. So in those situations, I'd be like, okay, well, you know what? Screw you. I'm just going to go and buy like a digital card or something like that from GameStop or Amazon or something like that. The first time I actually did this, I went to GameStop first, which they do have digital sales. And I went through and tried to make a transaction and get my digital purchase immediately. And even though it was a digital purchase, they would not send it to me immediately. It was like wait 24 to 48 hours kind of thing to get your digital purchase. I was like, well, forget that. I canceled the order, went to Amazon. They sent it to me immediately. I got it within like 5 minutes of making the purchase.
And like Xbox better.
Well, you know, Xbox has its own issues, and we're not going to get into that, Bowman, because I mean, I'm a fan of both, but
you can literally put your card online and go purchase stuff without.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's because they want your money.
Well, Sony hates money. We know that.
They do.
Sony hates money.
They do.
But
let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys this question. So since we're kind of living in this reality of, since we're living in this reality where GameStop is struggling, Toys R Us is going under. And I'm sure that there are other companies that are also feeling a little bit of the squeeze with this. What can some of these places do? What can some of these places do in the time that we're in to stay relevant and to stay a part of the conversation and stay a part of the to stay relevant within a consumer market like this?
Well, first, they can do something that iGaming Public mentions, where it says probably Amazon will buy out GameStop. So they can be bought out, because that's usually what happens. Things get merged and they turn into other companies. And but the problem with Amazon buying out GameStop is that would have to be an instance where Amazon's looking to move into the brick and mortar space of selling games, and I don't see that really being a possibility. I definitely see them doing that in the digital space more, simply because Amazon has moved into making games. But when it comes into, do they want the overhead of having an actual game store that they work on? I could see them doing a technology store maybe, sure. But not. I wouldn't see them doing a game store specifically. So I don't really think that Amazon's going to want to do that. Like, similar to what they did with Whole Foods. Amazon bought out Whole Foods, and because they wanted to move into that grocery space. But I don't see them really wanting to do that with GameStop. Is there? I think I gave another statistic here too about GameStop. Oh yeah. So we talked about when they closed the 150 stores, they did it in favor of opening more collectible and technology stores worldwide, which I don't see a lot of collectible and technology GameStop stores specifically. Is it under a different name or something?
Well, no. What I would say that I've noticed more of that the brick and mortar GameStop stores are carrying more collectibles. So you've got like a whole wall of Funko Pops, and you've got themed T-shirts, and
I think they have some kind of agreement with ThinkGeek.com, because most of the stuff in there is stuff you can get off ThinkGeek.com.
Yep.
So when you go to GameStop, they usually have sales on them, like bigger sales. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. I'll just buy these R2D2 C3PO bowls for $10 when they're marked for $30.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that there's anything that they can do other than trying to get with the times. And I think if we were to see that, we would be seeing less and less brick and mortar GameStops and more GameStop trying to compete in the online market space. And I think that they're going to be too little too late on that. It's kind of like whenever everyone was going to those Redbox kiosks, and because, Blockbuster was failing, and then Blockbuster wanted to do their own kiosks, and by that time it was like, hey, everyone's just streaming the movies that they want. So right. Even Redbox was like, well, let's try and get into streaming, and it's too late. It's like, by the time you realize that you're in trouble, you're gone. You're gone.
Well, yeah, and someday down the road, this will be a cautionary tale for businesses in this space to pay attention to what's going on in the market, and make sure that they innovate before things are too late. But speaking of unearthing things, in the wake of the Tomb Raider movie releasing in theaters this week, a new Tomb Raider title has been announced for all systems. What is your take on this? Do you guys think it's a coincidence? Maybe not. What's your history with the Tomb Raider franchise?
The newer games they've been making, I've loved them thoroughly, and it doesn't surprise me at all, because why not capitalize on the new movie?
Yeah.
Now is this a like video game based off of a movie, or because we all know how that goes?
If you're looking at the trailers for this movie, and I hope to see it this weekend, it looks a lot like they took the first remake of the Tomb Raider, and they just did a movie off of it, because a lot of the stuff in there seems really close to the game.
Yeah,
like when she's running and jumping on the plane and stuff like that, and jumping off the boat. I know you do that in the game right at the beginning, so spoilers, sorry. It's been out for a few years, not really a spoiler anymore. But yeah, it seems to me like it could be really close, but we won't know for sure until we go to see it. So
yeah, I gotta say, I'm not I was never a big Tomb Raider fan. I remember whenever it first came out a very long time ago, and that it made headlines everywhere because of the
Polygon proportions?
Yes, the very well-proportioned polygons, which to me, I never really understood it. I mean, I guess like I was much younger then, and maybe but even still, like it never really did anything for me personally, and I didn't even really like the gameplay. I think I tried to play like the first one, and I was like, this is what people are like flipping out about. But I also kind of felt the same about what is it, the Soul Reaver games? Is that what those
Soul Reaver? I like the Soul Reaver games. Honestly, but Soul Reaver not so much. I like Legacy of Kain better. Okay, well that makes sense. But for me, like the original Soul Reavers, I was like, well, everyone's like flipping out over this. Like this isn't like, I don't know. I guess maybe I was also a really big N64 kind of guy, so we didn't really have those. I was
gonna say, I think all the controversy really took place in the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Time. So
yeah, especially after Final Fantasy VII came out, because that's when they started using all the 3D modeling and everything. So Tomb Raider was obviously after that. So
yeah. So I had at the time I had a sample disc that had like demos of a bunch of different PlayStation games, and I think I had like the first 5 minutes of the Tomb Raider game, and I'm like trying to play it and was very frustrated by the controls, and it's like, yeah, I'm never playing that again. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, I watched the trailer for the movie. I pleasantly surprised by how they portray the character, the actress they picked for, think is very much in line with the reboot that happened a couple of years ago, and I've heard like nothing but good things about that game. I haven't played it myself, but I've got some good friends that picked it up to give it a shot, and they really thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's that movie's coming out again. Video game tie-in movie. Those are always kind of a crapshoot, whether they're good, whether they're not good. But speaking of,
did you notice that Kiwi said that she?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to point out that Kiwi are what did we consider her? Our Rift?
She's
a Rift mistress, or
she's the Grand Matron of Rift, I think is what the title that we gave her last week.
Well, she just mentioned that she could snap the actresses in half who plays Lara Croft,
with her little finger,
with her pinky. While eating corn dog and playing on her Switch. I mean, now I just want you to know that it's not because Kiwi is overly big or strong or anything. She's just very well in tune with pinky fighting, I think, is mainly how she does it.
I understand that's a New Zealander trait.
Oh, is it?
Something that you're brought up with.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I understand anyway. So, but speaking of crossovers in things that make no sense, we had a
good segue. I like that one.
A really interesting situation that happened this week in that we broke Twitch. Well, we didn't broke Twitch, or we didn't broke Twitch.
We didn't break it.
we didn't broke it. We didn't broke it, guys. Twitch streamer Ninja had a surprise duo guest in Drake, of all people, joining him in a Fortnite game. They had, let me pull up the numbers here, because I want to get this right, because this is just mind blowing. 628,000 concurrent viewers.
That's so many. I think
it's a lot of people. That is a lot of people. That is a lot of people watching video games. So for anyone, for all of those people who have been out there who said, video games is not a sport, or video games is not a spectator thing, like, I think that 628,000 concurrent people.
Kiwi says 635. She's challenging you.
Okay. The stat that I have here is from Forbes. So it's entirely possible that I'm wrong. But I will,
and I think that's even more
because it's Forbes. Because Forbes is wrong. Because Forbes is wrong and Kiwi is always right. I don't know. I think Kiwi, you need to go fight Forbes right now.
I think so. I think you need to pinky fight Forbes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so pretty big deal for this happening. And Epic Games actually just announced, I think it was either today or yesterday, that they're going to be having an event at PAX. Or no, I'm sorry, not PAX, at E3.
Okay.
Where they're going to have 50 celebrities and 50 pro gamers that they're going to throw into a huge celebrity battle royale. So what do you guys think of this? Like, do you think that this is like celebrities trying to jump on the train of Twitch streamers, or do you think that this is, Twitch stream? Do you think that this is good? Do you think that this is not good? What is your take on all this? This is kind of interesting and uncharted territory.
We'll let Bowman take this one because I don't think either way. I just don't think.
I mean, you're obviously going to have your group of people who follow you on Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're streaming. And, there's always going to be somebody who's better than you. So, I mean, you can watch Dr. Disrespect. You could watch Cross. You could watch a whole bunch of people. You watch Drake. It doesn't matter who you watch. I mean, people are going to watch who they like. And, I mean, the little people are the ones who aren't going to get the streams just like they are now. But, it's really how it's been. Somebody good's playing, everybody flocks to that person, and then nobody else gets any views. So I think that's how it's already set up from my perspective.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's any better or any worse. If anything, people who like Drake would probably have migrated over to Twitch just to see him, maybe, which brings in a different type of watcher, I guess. But does that mean that they're going to keep going back? No, they're not going to keep going back to watch the games. They're going to watch their favorite person or whoever it is. So I don't really think that it's helping, and I don't think that it's hurting. So I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think it's just a blip. Now, if we start seeing Drake every week, every other day, maybe we can come back and talk about, hey, is Twitch bringing celebrities in at a rate that's keeping them around? Like, is it becoming a new celebrity? Is it becoming like the new Instagram? Like, hey, I'm playing a game. Everyone come watch me and hang out and like my stuff because I need the attention. And, I mean, celebrities, I don't think really need that. I think the attention begging is for us little people like Bowman over here. He's really good at it, but I don't think that the celebrities.
I am the comic relief.
He sounded a little bit bitter when he was talking about people showing up on the platform with some measure of skill or status. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that one out there. I think it's one of those things where like I actually kind of like that it's happening, just from the standpoint of like, here's the thing. Gaming has kind of been one of those things that it's been a very accessible platform for a lot of people, and for some of us, I mean, this was something growing up that was not in vogue, to be a gamer. I mean, now we have people that, I mean, like Ninja, who are making a living by streaming, and from what I understand, the dude is pretty solid, pretty generous with I think I read something that they, like, every week they sponsor a dog at like the local dog shelter with some of the sub money, or they take care of like medical expenses or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
So I mean, like, it's really cool to see that, like, the platform or the video gaming as a medium, right? And so to have people that are finding connecting points on that medium. I mean, like Microsoft did this years ago, where they did like I think it was Microsoft, where they did like a game with celebrities sort of thing, where they had like Snoop Dogg and a couple other people that they had like specific theme game night set up. Yeah, this was forever ago. So I mean, it's one of those things that hey, if people are finding points of connection on the platform, and even like in places where they would otherwise not happen, I mean, hey, I think that's pretty cool. I think bringing video games into a more positive light in the cultural conversation, I think is always a good thing.
Yeah, I'll say okay to that. I'm not gonna.
you're just gonna meh whatever with it.
This is where you nod and agree.
Well, but it brings up the other point to it, that, with the popularity of Drake or celebrities or whatever, it also boosts the profile of the games, such as Fortnite, which brings us into that other topic that we were talking about, in terms of hackers, focusing on Fortnite. You want to run that down a little bit? So tell everyone what's going on with the hackers. With the hackers, Dame.
You can go ahead and do that.
Well, let me tell you, because
you experienced this,
I experienced this secondhand, actually, not firsthand.
Okay.
So apparently Fortnite is taken off, and hackers are trying to focus in on getting into your Epic accounts and your Fortnite accounts. And by doing so, they want to rack up some charges by some everything, llamas. I really don't understand it personally. I guess, how does that even work? They get into your Epic account and then they attach their Fortnite account or something like that, and then I'm not really sure exactly how that happens, because I mean, whenever I bought stuff in Fortnite, I obviously did use a card or whatever, but I mean, they wouldn't be. You can't trade items or anything like that, really. It doesn't really work that way. So I guess you could buy bucks and stuff, but I don't know how that works. Anyway, so they're trying to hack into these things, and they actually tried to hack into my account. They were stopped at the front door. They couldn't get into it. It notified me that someone had tried, however many times to log into the account. But I was able to log into the account and set up two-factor authentication, which I would recommend everybody do who has any account ever. I have it on my Guild Wars 2 account. I have it on all of my business accounts. Everything that I ever do is now two-factor authentication. So I would say definitely set that up if you're worried about, crazy hackers. And so what do you guys think? I mean, is this just another hazard of popularity, or is this just something that we're going to see across the board now?
I think it's always existed. I mean, it existed when Craft's heyday. I will never forget watching one of my guild leaders get their account hacked and watching the hacker disenchant all of his raid tier gear in the middle of Dalaran as we were just watching and helpless to do anything about it. So I mean, it's been something that's been around for a while. I mean, people are going to get into places that they want to, and whether it's Fortnite or World of Warcraft or PayPal or whatever. I mean, if it's a hot thing and there's information attached that's valuable information, then yeah, hacker's gonna hack.
Yeah,
it's happened to me too. I had my Epic account. I got an email saying somebody tried to log into your profile. You might want to change your password. I was like, yeah I probably want to do that.
Yeah, just two-factor it, and that's basically that's the number one thing that I would do. They're saying Epic is stating that they themselves did not get hacked. So these users are trying to get into these accounts using old passwords that maybe have been hacked before from other, I mean, most people have like Yahoo accounts or something that are pretty old that have been, Yahoo got hacked like, I'd say last year before. I mean, if you've ever had these old email accounts, chances are your information's out there somewhere because they've been hacked. So they're trying to get in with that information when they see that there's an email account tied to an Epic account. But I forget my password all the time, so it's constantly changing anyway. So I'm not too worried about it, but for you guys that are, definitely change that up.
Yep, indeed. So speaking of the other battle battle royale game in here. So I think we talked about this last week that Fortnite was going to be coming to the mobile platform, but PUBG, not to be left in the dust, has also announced PUBG Mobile. Are they going to follow the Fortnite format? You know,
to be fair, PUBG has had something out for China for a couple weeks now about the PUBG Mobile for China. I honestly hadn't heard of the Fortnite Mobile until just recently this week, so I don't know, I think Fortnite kind of just like hit it out. And
how convenient, Mr. I've played PUBG for so long.
I don't know that I will play it on mobile because I watched the video of it and I was like, I can't.
Is it the same game? Is it the same?
It's the same game. It's the same principles and everything. They have an on-screen joystick and buttons for everything. And when you walk up to the loot, instead of pushing a button like E to pick it up or hitting tab and you can see everything on the ground, it'll literally pop up on the screen. You tap it to pick it up or not to pick it up. I guess your backpack doesn't even open; it just automatically puts it there for you.
I don't know. I don't. Is it also cross-platform? Do you know? Are they doing that? Are they trying to compete with Fortnite now?
I haven't heard anything about that.
You know what? I'm going to say this, and it might not be popular opinion, and I don't care, but I don't think that PUBG, because originally whenever PUBG came out, and then Fortnite was like, hey, we're going to do Battle Royale, PUBG was like, I'm going to sue you guys because this is our thing. That's what we do. You're just stealing our thunder. But, you know, and it didn't work. Obviously, PUBG didn't get anywhere. And, you know, if PUBG releases this mobile game, they've been working on it for a long time or whatever, you know, I know it's a popular game, but at the end of the day, you really can't go up against Epic. I mean, they make an engine. They're really big. They're a very large, you know, force in the gaming industry right now, and Fortnite is pretty much unstoppable. I don't think that you know, that PUBG's mobile release, if they are trying to follow an Epic's, you know, step now, that, you know, Epic's like, hey, we're doing cross-platform, we're doing all these kind of things. I think it's a good idea that they try and keep up with them, but I don't think that they can. I mean, their game's a lot buggier than Fortnite. Still, just altogether, I don't think that they're going to be able to handle it. I don't think they're gonna
I just pulled up Steam because that's where I saw the news for PUBG earlier. It says right here from the excerpt, Tencent hasn't said whether or not PUBG Mobile will eventually be cross-play compatible with PC players, but it's the older Chinese version doesn't have it either, so that definitely wasn't written correctly.
Yep.
But yes, so no cross-play right now.
So here's a question that I have to ask, because this time of year I'm always skeptical about gaming news that I hear. Like, is this all an elaborate April Fool's joke? Will we get to April 1st and it's like, oh, psych, guys, no Fortnite mobile, no PUBG mobile.
Everything mobile from this point forward, I think.
Shooters are really hard to play mobile on your phone.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter, dude.
Always slipping around.
It doesn't matter because they're I take more of a futurist approach, okay? We've seen it with, like, the Razer phone. We've seen it with the new Galaxy phones. We've seen it where they're saying, hey, you just take your phone, you put it into this, you know, little keyboard-looking thing. You got yourself a laptop that streams directly to your... It doesn't matter. I mean, you take it wherever you want to go. You just pop it out, you throw it into a keyboard, and you're playing it like you're playing it anywhere else. I think in a future-forward approach, they're doing the right thing. I don't think that it's ready for prime time yet, but they're, you know, kind of, you know, thinking about it in terms of where are we going to be in, you know, 2 years.
Yeah, and hey, we can't fault them for a little bit of forward thinking there. So
Bowman's doing it. Bowman's faulting them.
Give me a holodeck for Star Trek and playing PUBG, and I'll be good.
You guys and your holodecks.
Like,
So in the
PUBG PR would be awesome. By the way.
so in the news, PUBG and stuff like that, there was a very interesting story in the Washington Post here. A woman who was angry with her boyfriend, who did nothing but play games all day, about 12 hours of PUBG a day. She has read some signs that maybe he was cheating on her, and he tried to kill her with a katana.
Oh, switch that. She
tried
to kill him with a katana.
Yes.
For him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So she tried to kill him for playing too many video games and potentially cheating on him. So the question is, and the story is really interesting. You have to go, because his like hot takes on this are so funny when you read his commentary on it. So I've got to ask, is she a Ninja fan?
I don't know. What really struck me is that everyone's talking about violence in video games causing violence. This was actually the almost opposite effect of it. Right. She was not the game player here. She was maybe, if you would call her a victim at all, the victim of someone who played games and didn't do anything else. He wasn't going to hurt her at all, but it ended up that she couldn't stand all the game playing and then the potential cheating, whether he was or not. They don't actually say it in the artitle. I don't think they confirm.
He denies it. He actually denies it.
Okay.
And he made a statement something along the lines of, like, I barely enough had enough time for her, let alone time for somebody else. So like, and so again, his word against her word. But the fact that this is so premeditated, though. I mean, like, she taped the sword to the edge of the bed.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, what?
Okay, so she taped the sword to the edge of the bed. It gets better, and then waits for him to fall asleep, and then pulls out her cell phone so that she could see him better, to stab him while he is sleeping.
It's so bad.
And like his
comment
on the
it's
matter
not funny
was,
at all.
His comment on the matter was something along the lines of, video games have prepared me for this moment in my life where I had to take down a crazy quasi-samurai wannabe.
Yeah.
He got stabbed a couple of times, but, it wasn't like,
Well, it's obviously wasn't lethal because he was, maybe...
He was wise about it.
He was able to convince her to call the paramedics. So he survived, but it's just an interesting kind of reverse of what we're seeing right now in the media of video games causing violence. I guess in some way you could say maybe it still did cause violence, but not because of the violence in the video games. A little bit of a different take. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and we're coming down 10-minute show. So we're going to talk about what we're playing this week. So Bowman, what do you got on the spit this week? What are you playing? Nothing.
We got a head shake for those on the podcast.
Right now I don't know if I talked about it last week. I'm reviewing Darkest Dungeons on Xbox, and I'm reviewing...
I don't think you talked about it enough, because that game's been out for a little while, and I've played it. And let me tell you,
it's very difficult.
They make it difficult on purpose. They make it to where you can't go through it unscathed. They make sure that you hate yourself and everyone involved. Right. So do you hate yourself enough yet, or are you going to keep going back? What do you think?
Well, I think I got to play it a couple more hours at least to do this review the right way, to do it some justice. But I've been this close to losing my main character so far.
Ooh.
And I've still kept all my characters, but I'm only...
See, that's the problem. You can't get attached to that kind of stuff. You can't get attached to characters in that game. You just have to say, hey, you know what? You're good to me.
Well, and I read something about that beforehand, before even starting it, that, you're going to lose characters, just get used to it. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep them alive as long as I can, but obviously if they die, they die. I've got a team of like 4 or 5 right now, so whatever the max team is, but yeah, so whatever happens, happens. But I mean, it's fun.
You gotta look at it.
It's fun for a 2D for a 2D game. It's one of those.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you.
Yeah.
What? Fun.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own definition of fun. I mean, this is like fun stabbing yourself in the eye.
Bowman, I reviewed a game, and I'm the type of person that I try to give grace where I can, especially when it comes to stuff that people have created. But I played a game this week that it made me rage in my writing. It was a game called Crazy Dreams Best Of, and I swear I'm not having a stroke. That is the title of the game. And I wrote this review of it yesterday, and it's up on GameSpace right now.
I have to go read that.
But it was it was absolutely atrocious to try to play through it. And this is now I think the second indie game that I've played in the last couple of months that is just so bad. And it's just in a pool, I guess, of otherwise excellent games that have come out this year. I mean, they're bound to be duds or two, but oh my word!
I guess I'm getting all the good indie games to review.
I hated myself after playing this game. So anyway, that's.
I don't know. If I play this game a couple more hours, I will probably start to hate myself and maybe just.
It only really becomes a problem if you guys start hating each other for playing completely separate games. That's what you really have to worry about.
Nah, I know at the end of the day the game is going to be over, the review, and I can move on from.
Yeah, after the review is done, nothing in the bylaws says you have to keep the game installed.
Right.
That is quite true. I've had a few of those in my time. So
exactly. Well, yeah. Steven, what are you playing these days?
What am I playing? That's a good question. I've been playing a few different things. I'm finishing up reviews that I've had going on for too long. Last week I mentioned that I was playing some Wild Terra. How
is that?
You know what? You were on the show last week, so that I am not a tremendous fan of Wild Terra. Bowman is stuck in it with me.
When I started playing it, I fell asleep after 5 minutes. Granted,
it's very
midnight,
slow. Yeah,
but I was sitting here can we get any action going on in this?
I don't think that. I mean, it's a survival game.
Sure, yeah,
and
it has a certain pace to it.
It's an MMO. Supposedly
7 days to die without zombies if you're playing the PvE server, and you're just basically collecting wood and stone and carrots from the ground randomly that you can't find anywhere.
I mean, this is just in I've found all those things. I finished the tutorial, and I mean, if that's the major feat of what you can accomplish, they got to do better. I'm just not a tremendous fan, and
I couldn't find the carrot.
I am gonna give it its due. I'm gonna try as best as I can. I'm gonna re-roll on a PvP server and I'm honestly just getting nonstop ganked. I just want to do whatever I can to feel something in this game. I just want to feel, guys. That's all that I want. I want the game to make me feel something.
In this game, except for stabbing your eyes.
Even if it's anger, I don't even feel that. To me, it's like I can sit there and walk around and pick up things, and I do that kind of stuff on games like Animal Crossing, and I love it. But in this game, I'm doing the same exact thing where I'm walking around picking up carrots and cutting down trees and things like that, and I'm like, why do I do this?
This is like a Diablo 3 top-down style, and you'd expect more from a game like that.
Animal Crossing kind of is too. I haven't found anything that's attacked me that really bothered me at all either.
I've never heard Animal Crossing and Diablo in the same comparative form. So that's awesome. Okay.
Because the next crossover is Diablo 3 Animal Crossing.
I would play that. I would actually play that. But the thing about it is there would be no actual combat. It's all just collecting, and they don't, nets and going out and catching some demons and such. I'd play it.
I know I would. So,
but aside from that, I do have I have a review coming out Monday. It is a review for this chair. It is an eWin Champion Series chair. I think you guys need to check out that review if you're going to check out a review about a chair, because I put a lot of feeling into this review. It's going to be accompanied by a video review, and I think that I think you guys are going to like it. So
now, I'm a little scared about that because
you should be
in our Slack chat, just to give you guys a little bit of context, Steven was talking about the amount of skin that some of the other reviewers were showing while reviewing or reposting pictures of this chair. So I'm not really into that kind of thing, man. But as your friend, I'll go read your review.
Well, let me just say, for anyone out there, while there is some skin in my article, and it is me, it's not what you think. Or maybe it is what you think, but I was helped out by Pac-Man on this one, so just don't worry about it. Check out the review. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. And then, of course, as always, we got it before we ever sign off. We're always going to have to talk about our podcast. Everyone needs to head on over to the podcast if you haven't, and support us there, because we want you to, and what we want is very important. What do you think, Dame?
I would say that you should listen to our podcast while you are shoveling snow.
Oh, yeah.
Or walking your dog.
Definitely
or
that.
Stuck in traffic. Let us be a part of the mundane.
Mm-hmm. And then join us the following week.
Craziness.
Join us the following week on the show and be a part of it. We like to bring you guys into it. So if you're also, we have a lot. We're actually doing really well on our podcast. We've gotten. We've only been doing it for about 3 weeks, and we've got several hundred people already subscribed to our podcast. So
I love it.
Please support us there, and people on the podcast who don't know that we actually do a web show, a web stream of the show, join us for that as well, so you can be part of it. But what about you, Dame? Was there anything was that all you were playing? The game that infuriates you? Is that all you got?
No, actually, I was also this week also getting some more time into Warhammer Vermintide 2.
Okay.
Loving that game. Think that I would, but I'm really, really enjoying that. It is satisfying. Actually, one of our other writers, Matt Keith, wrote a piece over on MMO about it, so you should check that out. And then also just finished up a review for Earthlock. If you are a fan of 1990s style JRPGs, you owe it to yourself to check it out. It's decent. I'm not going to say that it's the best game ever, but it certainly scratched an itch that's been there. And the best part is that it's on the Switch now. So if you're looking for a JRPG on the go, I am really looking forward to the next time I'm traveling now, because it's like the perfect airplane thing. So I don't miss out on those crusty pretzels or a cup of ginger ale or something like that.
Love the crusty pretzels. You know what else I'm gonna do before I know we don't have much time, but I want to throw it out there because Kiwi is just Kiwi. So Rift Prime's still going, and I know we didn't really get into the Archage progression server thing. That's happening also. We're gonna make Kiwi tell us a little bit more about that for next week. But I want to go ahead and plug MMORPG Discord. Get on there. Check out the Rift Prime progression server. We've got a big guild, the Old School, I think it's called. So join. Bowman's going to be there. We're going to make sure he gets there somehow.
I did log in last week after the stream. Yeah.
So join us there. I'm not going to be there, but Bowman and Kiwi's going to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Make sure Bowman gets there, but I won't be there.
No,
because Bowman's there.
Bowman is my proxy all the time. All right. Well,
hey guys, we're so glad that you guys joined us here for the GameSpace Game Show. Make sure that you follow us online at GameSpace and MMORPG.com, I believe, are the Twitter handles. So make sure that you guys follow us for gaming news and reviews, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good night, guys.
Yay.